That's right. This is Bad Weather Fans, episode number 54. Mike Biseglia, Alex Benesowitz.
That's right.
Thank you guys for downloading the podcast. Don't forget also, you can find this on YouTube. Just type in Bad Weather Fans, and you can see the video version, like with some of our former guests as well, including Evan Roberts, where we had a nice conversation. Alex, how are you doing? Knicks are good, 22-22. How about that?
Very exciting. 22 twos, like the Jay-Z song. I put out that video yesterday. That was great. Everybody liked that. But it was just it's exciting to beat the bad teams. You're a good team. You beat the bad teams. You lose a couple games to the good teams on some BS whistles and
Right.
whatever. And Julius Randle lost the ball, but nobody wants to talk about that. They just want to act like nobody knows the rules of basketball, but that's okay. So it was dislodged. The ball is dislodged. Come on. It was. I know I had to get that out there. I know it's old news at this point, but we only do a show once a week. So
at this point, Alex, we're already like at, 2 or 3 other calls that you should be pissed off about. This is old shit. All right. So like I watched the end of that Knicks Sixers game. What a bizarre game that was. What a strange game. Knicks really had their opportunities and just
No, did you see
it was the same story though, Alex. They had the issue versus the Nets. They just don't make shots in crunch time in big games versus good teams. That's right. We'll see what happens though.
It is what it is. Did you see Tibbs against I think it was Wizards. It was the last game. He did a challenge and he ran up the court. He's like, he made it like
hey, you know what? Hey, truth be told, I'm a big fan of learning from experience. And I don't think what Tibbs did was incorrect in the other game. What I'm saying though is maybe that's the point for when they get into a big spot, like a playoff game, that he learned from that experience. And when it's Knicks versus Bucks, Game 5, and he did that, you're like, well, I'm glad he learned from that time versus the Sixers or whatever. Look at it that.
How did the refs not grant him the challenge, though, man? How is that possible? Like, what they're doing? They don't have a timeout. They're on the court. They're all standing there. Like, what do you think they're doing? I know they only had 2 refs.
Strange.
Because one of them was out with COVID protocols or something. Yeah. So, but still, it's like, come on, dude. Plus, the call in general was ridiculous. I mean, it was a foul. Like he gave him a forearm in the back, Tobias Harris in the back. But. You don't call that. I mean, it's just, come on. It's loose ball. It has nothing to do with the rebound. You know what I mean? Come on. They let it go.
But I mean, I guess the problem is that the whole perspective. Oh, you can't call that. Oh, you can't call that. Well, he did.
He did hit him. But you know what?
If it was the other way around, you'd be like, oh, hey.
The point was we pushed him. Right. We didn't get our day in court. You know what I mean?
That I totally understand.
That's just like, come on.
Totally understand that. But if it was the other way around, right? And it was Ben Simmons flying through the lane and pushing off and hitting Julius Randle, and they didn't call that, Knicks fans would be up in arms, as they should be. I'd be pissed off. So I just wanted everybody to understand, like, oh, you can't call that. Yeah, you want to say that because it was your team. Of course you're pissed.
Right. No, it's true. It's true. I know. It's the whole concept. Like, we know that, like, Alan Hahn said it after the game, is like they probably overturn it, or they probably don't overturn it, and it probably is a foul. But at the same time, it's like, why couldn't we get the chance to do it? Just the fact that we didn't get the chance to challenge it, and then the Knicks were all out of sorts. I know Julius Randle had a great look at the end of the game, point blank. He should have made it, but like at the same time, it's just still the whole team was tight, and then everybody's pissed and like, what? Like, what do you mean? Like, what are you talking about?
To the Knicks' credit, they're winning the games after these tough losses.
Right, they're showing up.
Showing up, and I think that's big. Now, granted, they're playing the teams that aren't as good, Orlando, Washington, but they're still getting victories. If you were to lose those games right now, you'd be in that feeling of, here it comes, the bad schedule. But it's like, okay, they fought through this tough stretch.
They beat the Thunder. They beat the crap out of the Thunder.
The teams they lost to in this stretch were the Nets, Sixers twice, and Bucks. The 3 best teams in the East, and the 1, 2, and 3, big jump from 4 and everybody else. So that I mean, that's a sign that they're playing well. And they were competitive versus the Sixers. They were competitive versus the Nets. They were competitive versus the Sixers both times. It was just that Bucks first game from the break and kind of throw it out because it was the first game.
And the Bucks couldn't wait to play them because the Knicks beat the crap out of the Bucks earlier this year. Yeah, and so they had that circled on their schedule. Budenholzer game plan like crazy. They knew every move quickly was making every move. They had the scouting report down. It was like a football game for them.
Bucks worry me as a Net fan because I don't think they're getting enough credit this season. Because in the last 2 years, they were the team that was the 1 seed that folded. Now none of the pressure's on them. The pressure's on the Nets. And I think that's going to really help Milwaukee in the playoffs this year. And I think they're going to come in a lot looser than they have been in the past. That they worry me more than the Sixers on a matchup basis. And everything.
They're
Embiid, how are they going to guard Embiid? I've seen this Sixers team. They've struggled scoring, and then the Nets are going to pound them to death. They're going to kill them on the offensive end. That doesn't scare me as much. It's this Milwaukee sneaky, nobody talking about them kind of irks me.
Yeah, and people like want to. I hate, how people are trying to spin that Giannis sucks because he can't hit a 3-pointer consistently. It's just like, dude, the guy is a monster. Like, who's gonna guard him? You know what I mean? And it's just, and maybe they make a deal at the deadline. We don't know what's gonna come. This is being recorded before the deadline. Maybe the Nets make a deal. Maybe the Knicks make a deal. Who knows what's gonna happen? But I think the Bucks' year was last year, which kind of sucks, for them because they were rolling until the pandemic hit. And I think the Nets, they got to get that ring this year, man, because with all these things with Kyrie, not showing up again because he's, who knows why, personal family matter. I hope everything's okay with him. This is not a shot at him. If something really is going on, I feel bad and I hope everything's okay. But it's kind of coincidental that it's for his, his birthday, happy birthday.
Well, he loses the benefit of the doubt when it keeps happening. That's the problem.
Right. Around birthdays. It was his dad and sister's birthday the last time. Right. Now it's his birthday. He didn't want to go out west, so he took the 3 games off. And it's just like that stuff is going to fly now for the Nets organization. As an organization, that's going to be okay now. But if they don't win and he does something in the playoffs that doesn't show up or doesn't do something right or like they don't win, if they just don't win, and then it all kind of like, it's got to happen this year, man. Because how they say Kyrie was moody with the Celtics, he's moody with the Cavs. They probably didn't let him go home for a birthday party. They probably like, no, man, you got to go to this game. You know what I mean? The Nets are like, yeah, go. Just show up in the playoffs, man. Just come on, go ahead.
What's crazy about Kyrie is, and it's somebody that's seen probably every second of the season, or for the most of them, he on the court is so competitive.
Yeah.
And is playing defense to the best of his ability and is jiving with his teammates. Now, I know you say you don't know what's really going on, but you see in body language a little bit. And I would say from the Knicks perspective, you've seen it when Kyrie's going in the huddle and he's high-fiving Joe and Joe Harris is giving him a hug. That stuff, you see that and you're like, you can't fake that. I'm sorry.
Right.
You can't.
No, you can't.
That.
You can't.
It's so interesting to me on that personal level of he's not at these games. His teammates seem to really love him this year. I can't speak of other seasons. So it's so strange is there actual resentment? Is there actually shit going on in his life? But like we said, when Kyrie has a track record of this, it makes it more difficult to want to believe him.
Yeah, no, it's hard. It's hard to believe him. And that's, with the injuries last year, it was hard to believe some of them. I know he really was hurt, but sometimes it was just like coincidental that he missed the Celtics games in Boston. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, I don't know, but that's what I'm saying. This is the year, man. You guys got to get it in. Like you really do.
They could do it next year. I don't think it's this or bust.
I don't know, man. I'm not trying to. I know. No, I know you're not. I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of things. Like, this isn't like the LeBron Big Three with Miami, where they were all best friends. I mean, they were friends. I hear, but you know what I mean. There wasn't like, hey, I just feel like going here and not doing. They were all about their business. They were showing up every game. They were, like whatever.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yes,
like,
yes.
Okay.
I do understand that. But from this team how they're constructed, first of all, they're 15-2, and we're recording this before the Nets are probably about to get their ass kicked versus Utah.
Well, everybody's resting. It's a rest game.
Yeah.
That's fine. Or not
what
showing
incentive? They're all going to be here next year. They are. I mean, that's just what's going to happen. So,
the Rockets thought Harden was going to be there this year. I mean, things can change.
Things can. Yes, things can. Of course, things can change. But But that you could say that about anything in life. This team is gonna be together next year. Now, I'm not saying if they don't win the championship, I'm not gonna. It'll be a colossal disappointment.
It will.
But I don't think this is the window and it's done. I think there's next year, and
it's not going to be as easy as it will be this year if they can get it. That's all I'm saying. Like, you know what I mean? Like things are.
I don't think it's easy any year.
No. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm saying easier this year because you don't know what teams are going to do in this offseason. You know what I mean? You don't know who's going to get drafted. You don't know who's going to be, who's going to get who and who's going to be what and how good somebody's going to be or what trade's going to be made at the deadline or in the offseason. You have no idea. So like you have to get it when the window's there. Like you bring up we had Evan Roberts on. You bring up a Mets reference. 2006, Beltran stares at the curveball. You're like, oh damn it, it was horrible. I tossed the things around, trashed my ex-girlfriend's dorm room, whatever. But like. We're like, we'll be back. We'll be back.
I don't think that
ever got back to the playoffs.
I don't think it's like that. Yeah. But I think to just say this is it and it's done is not.
Well, I'm just saying, don't assume next year. That's all I'm saying, especially with all the things that are boiling here, because yes, they're letting Kyrie do whatever he wants, Harden do whatever he wants. Well, Harden does, he's fine. He shows up every game. You can't blame Harden. Harden is a good soldier, but it takes one thing, and just like that, Harden could be back to being dribble, fat. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just what can happen.
No, I know.
So it's
no, it could switch at any time. I hear you on that. But I don't think this is a one and done where they're all going to split and go their separate ways. I think they've made commitments. Kyrie and Kevin have made commitments here. Now, the Harden
Kyrie also said that to Boston fans before the Celtics season.
Yeah, but
can I resign here? I would love that if you guys will have me back.
But here's the difference. Yeah. Kyrie did sign here. He did do it. He did. Yeah. He did sign here. He chose. He got traded to Boston.
He wants to be close to his family. Right.
He did make that. He signed the contract. Now that doesn't mean he can't be like, get me out of here. Okay, but he did sign the contract. He picked Brooklyn. He did. That was his decision.
Right.
Kevin Durant picked Brooklyn. James Harden forced his way to Brooklyn. That's more of like on the Kyrie side of things. That happened when he got to Boston. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. And we could just do an hour on Nick Claxton. We could do an hour on Nick Claxton.
Oh yeah, fantasy team. Big game for me tonight, man. Let's go.
Don't give me any. Don't say anything.
No, I didn't look it up. I just said big game for me. Like I picked them up because, and then everybody's resting. It's just going to birthday parties. So it's just nice that Claxton.
And happy birthday, Kyrie.
Yeah, happy birthday, man. Happy birthday.
29, about to enter the prime of his career.
Yeah.
Or his last season in the NBA.
Or he'll retire. But if they win this ring and they all retire, you'll be like, goodbye, have a great life.
Probably. Unfortunately, I would have to have that mentality. We have a guest, though, for this episode, and we're excited. It's Amy Dash. She's the official legal analyst at CBS Sports Radio and WFAN as well. Right. But she is a humongous New York Knicks fan. So we wanted to get her on to talk about her love of the Knicks, time growing up watching the Knicks, and then this year's Knicks, but of course being a legal analyst as well, we'll get her thoughts on what's been going on with Deshaun Watson in this wild couple of weeks and just sad story that has continued to develop.
We have the Jets connection there because I've been dying for Deshaun Watson, and now it's not looking like it's going to happen, and I don't know if it should happen, and we get into it with Amy.
So here's our conversation with Amy Dash. All right, we're joined now by Amy Dash, official legal analyst, CBS Sports Radio, WFAN. And besides that, she is an old school New York Knicks fan. And Alex, you're an old school New York Knicks fan. Right. I think the Knicks, it's not my thing. Growing up, they were cool, Nets were losers, and that was more of my gig. I was into the Nets side of things, but that's what makes this podcast fun. So Amy, thank you for coming on Bad Weather Fans and adding another Knick fan and making it
right. Now the tables have turned. Isn't that ironic?
Yeah.
But it took 25 years, and now the Nets they're the better team. I mean, without a doubt.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, it's all that matters in life. We said all your credentials, and it's just like and diehard Knicks fan. That's all that really matters. So.
Well, talk about that. When did the Knick fans start? When did the Knick fandom start? What was the
for me, my family's had season tickets dating back to like before I was born.
Oh, cool.
So I was born in the 80s. I don't want to give away my age here, but
totally.
Right. So think about it. I'm going to games as soon as I'm old enough. So maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5, whenever my dad could take me. Mm-hmm. And I just got so into it. It was such a huge part of my childhood. And people would call me Amy Starks because John Starks is my favorite player. Mm-hmm. And I knew everything. I mean, I'd go into school in the mornings and I had this history teacher, Mr. Honeyke. I'll never forget him. He was a huge Knicks fan. Mm-hmm. So he would let me come in the morning and I would go to the board and I would write all the stats from the game from the next day. Like the kids would come in what is it? Patrick Ewing, 0 for 3 at the
they're like, can I have some Cheerios? What are you talking about?
Right. It would be John Starks, 7 3-pointers. And everyone's like, who cares? But I was just so into it. And then I was playing basketball. There was this phase where I thought I was going to be in the NBA because I was completely naive about my size. And I thought I would be in the WNBA when that came out. And then, I ended up a lawyer. But.
So basketball is your number one sport then, I'm guessing.
Overall. I loved basketball. I did all the camps. I did the basketball camps, but I also did the Knicks City Dancer camps. I was just really into it. I did a camp once with Patrick Ewing's son.
Patrick Ewing Jr.?
Yeah, and I remember that exactly. I remember I was playing with him.
I played against Patrick Ewing's son one time.
He was very big, by the way, from a young age.
I just remember he was in the JCC league that I was in, and I was like, he's kicking my ass. I mean, he was a lot.
What is he doing in the JCC league? I feel like
I don't know. He was there. He was. I'm positive he was there.
It's like on the Mac. I was on the McAfee team, by the way. So it was like.
Oh yeah. So there you go. So he wouldn't be on that either.
Maybe he was. Maybe they were putting him in as like a
your name's Patrick Ewing. Yes, come on in. Yes,
planting him in there. And then as I got older. I mean, the Knicks were just larger than life for me, but I used to go down to the court and try to get their attention. And then as I got older, I was connecting with some of them on Twitter, and it was so weird because now I'm in this position where I do the CBS sports stuff and like messaging with Chris Childs and John Starks, and I developed like friendships with them. Now I talk to Chris Childs. Actually, a couple of weeks ago, I talked to Chris Childs and Charles Oakley on the phone together. Wow. Alex, I'm going to have to draw you into this. This might be fun for you. You can join our calls.
Yeah, sure. That'd be fun.
And then I talked to Ernie Grunfeld's son, is like a great guy. He played for the Knicks, actually.
Yeah, back in the day.
So it's kind of weird because I can't let go.
I
can't let go from them. Yeah. I'm just like, can we be friends when I get older? Like, I don't want to, because that was such a great era. And there's just been losing teams, and there's been no team like that team in all these years. Yeah. So now it's like finally people have a chance to get excited again.
Right. It's hard for kids to understand that when we were growing up, like we were both 80s babies too, me and Mike. And it's just growing up, the Knicks were like everything. I know he was a big Nets fan, but he even knew he's like, the Knicks were just like the kings of the town. It was like the Yankees and the Knicks. And like, that was it, and it's just weird. Kids don't understand that. And the first time I tell Mike the story all the time, the only first time I ever saw the Knicks being bad was in that movie Eddie with Whoopi Goldberg. They were like the bad team. And it's like, that's just weird. That can't happen. So it's just a bizarre thing. And that's got to be kind of a weird thing.
And then in Space Jam.
And
then, the Knicks were in that Billy Crystal movie, Forget Paris.
Oh, the referee when he's like a referee or something.
Good movie too.
There were a couple of them were in that one.
Yeah.
So Amy, you had texted me as well about the John Starks marriage or the wedding or something that had happened.
Well, I had a huge crush on John Starks when I was younger, and because he was a good-looking guy, he had a lot of personality and a lot of grit. He was a fan favorite. That's why he's the fan ambassador now, so many years later. So we parked in the same parking garage right across the street from the Garden. Like if you were a diehard Knicks fan, you knew where to find the Knicks. Like Charles Oakley used to hang out at Cafe 31 across the street. So I like sneak in there with my dad. Oh, Charles Oakley.
You're like a kid, so you weren't a stalker. You were a kid.
Yeah. Right. So, I was like 11. I'm not, but I love John Starks. And so he parked in the garage. I would wait for him and then, hi, John. And I wanted to marry John Starks at one point. I was still, very young, and I didn't understand that would be, in legal terms, statutory rape. So
does your husband know about this? Is he okay with this kind of a conversation?
Oh yeah, he's fine with it. My mom blew these pictures up. I wish I had them here, but they're still in her house. It's like me meeting John Starks. I'm like kissing him on the cheek and posing with him. I have all these different John Starks pictures because I would go to the camps and the meet and greets, and then I went into the parking garage one day and I saw him and I said, "I'd really love you to marry me." And he was like, okay, crazy little girl. He didn't say that, but he was really polite, really nice. He said, I'm married already. And I was like, well, my parents are divorced. My parents are divorced. Why don't you get divorced? And then you could be with me. And he was like, okay, see you later. Bye.
Here's an autograph. Thank you.
No, that
I had to take my shot.
Yeah, no, that's cool though. I mean, like as a Net fan, my dad and I did the same thing. So we had season tickets and we knew the restaurants to go to after the game. This is not as exciting as I'm talking about like what's off Route 4 in New Jersey, but it'd be like Houston's at the Paramus Mall. I'd be like, we got to go to Houston's. That's where the players go after.
Right.
We knew the hotel. So I totally understand that excitement that you would get when you're like, because not as much now, I'll admit, as I'm older, I think, but when you look at these guys and you're a kid and you're like, these are larger than life personalities, but they're also people and you forget that. So I think that's kind of cool to have that connection.
I mean, obviously you're not proposing to them, but you had
not that you know of. I mean, I did. I mean, I'll tell you, like some of those teams, I did love some of those Nets teams.
Kenyon Martin.
I get Kenyon Martin a lot. I'd be like, Kenyon, me and you, let's just start a Nets family. I'll support the Rockets with your son. So no, I understand. I did not propose. But I get
and you're also, bonding with whether it's your father or whatever family member. Right. It's like, it's exciting because they love it. So then you love it. And by the way, the excitement in the Garden back then was it was unparalleled. I mean, everybody loved, even in the Jordan doc recently, he said that was the place to play.
Yeah, that's like what I was saying before. It was like kind of the center of New York. Like even George Steinbrenner used to say the Yankee season didn't start until the Knicks were eliminated from the playoffs.
Yeah.
Happened a little earlier than we liked a lot, but that's just the way it was. But I kind of had that family connection with my family with the Jets. My dad had season tickets, and I went to every game with him from when I was a little kid. We weren't like, we were from Long Island. I'm from Long Island, so I was going to Jersey. We were just out of there. We weren't like camping out at restaurants or anything, but we were just out of there, So, but I don't know. We wanted to, since you're the legal analyst, wanted to also ask you a little bit about Deshaun Watson. A little segue there. I didn't really even mean that. That was pretty funny. But
we didn't talk about the new Knicks though.
Oh, the new Knicks. You want to get into that first? Okay. So what are your thoughts on
that? There's nothing to say. They're an average team. They win games. They've got
I just heard I mentioned Jets. I'm like, let me go this way now. But
with the Nets, I like James Harden. Obviously, he's an amazing player, but I just think there's a different character between the Nets teams and the Knicks team. Whereas the Knicks team, this is the first Knicks team where you really feel like, not that they're the underdogs, but that they're really like a cohesive team, and that they need each other. And they're all sort of performing at their best for the team. And I mean, especially even with Julius Randle, he wants to bring that feeling back that we had when we were kids. He wants it to be a team like the one that was, he gets it. Yeah. He gets that they're representing New York, and he wants to be a lifetime Knick. Like, he's just devoted to the city. And whereas with the Nets, it's like you have these amazing players, but that's sort of what makes it less exciting. They're incredible players, well. They're put them anywhere and they're going to be great. But in New York, we want a team that's like only great because New York brought it together, and because like it wants to be great for New York, and that's what was special. What was special about the 90s Knicks is like they were ours. On their
hard
own,
workers,
they
were
okay. But together is what made them really amazing. And that's what we're seeing again. That's what makes the Knicks so great.
You're pushing Mike's buttons right
now.
Well,
I can tell you, my
anyone can take Kevin Durant, anyone can take James Harden, and they're going to add something to that team.
I will say the Net team does, believe it or not, I know this, people might not believe this, but the Nets team, they have great chemistry and they enjoy playing with each other. And they actually like going out there and playing well. I mean, they've all responded since this James Harden trade is, you can make a trade for a superstar, but to go 15-2 when Durant hasn't played at all and Kyrie's in and out does show that there is good chemistry. You can't fake 15-2, even with superior talent. That does take some other stuff. So I will defend my Nets. And I respect the Knick angle, though.
No one wants to see Brooklyn take the throne from New York City and MSG. It's just it can't exist in that section. It's got to be an MSG. If they were in MSG, I'd get excited. It's got to be MSG.
Exactly. See Mike Amy.
I don't care about New Jersey. I don't care about Brooklyn. No offense to people there, but I'm all about bring it back to the Garden.
I understand. I respect it. We've talked about the Mecca. I know all about this, but that's where my inferiority complex on it comes from. The jealousy angle. I mean, that's the truth of it. Really, when you break it on down, I don't get, I talked about 5,000 people at Continental Airlines Arena, me being one of them screaming. Then, when the Knicks would come to town, they would take it over, be like Garden Part 2. And that stuff just kind of played in my head. And I remember it. I remember it well.
And by the way, I mean, like, forget about the team since the Knicks just not being anything comparable to what that team was. But the Garden has deteriorated over the years, like with the Oakley incident where he was everything with James Dolan and him kicking him out. And then Spike Lee was kicked out. I mean, he was a staple. And then now you have the Woody Allen doc on, which has taken a whole nother level to like the Woody Allen saga.
Yeah. What was up with that story? Didn't he he wasn't allowed to eat the food or something? Like he asked for food in the, there was something.
Who? Woody Allen?
Woody Allen when he got kicked out of the Garden or he's
I didn't even know Woody Allen got kicked out. I was just talking like,
that he was always there.
Woody Allen was always there with Sun Yi, and then Spike Lee was always there. But and then Oakley was kicked out because he was apparently drunk, and then you had Spike Lee harassed and kicked out. Recently, Patrick Ewing was harassed by one of the guards there who
Ewing one, though,
recognize him.
In defense of them, I think that was more like, hey, it's COVID, like show your pass. He wasn't sure, it wasn't a Knick game. I don't know that one.
How do you not recognize Patrick Ewing?
I have breaking news on this podcast. I was the security guard, and I was like, we got to ID Patrick Ewing. just so we can upset more Knicks fans. That's
Mike was the fan that went to the game today or yesterday.
I was a security guard.
Mike wore the Van Dolan shirt yesterday at the game and he got kicked out.
That was Mike. You can't. Yeah, even if you're a run-of-the-mill fan, you can't piss that guy off. You'll get ejected. But with Woody Allen now, the doc that's been on about him and Mia Farrow and the sex abuse with the kids and stuff, it takes it to this whole nother level where it was like you knew back then that Woody Allen, that controversy. But now, if you watch the doc, you're like, "Oh my god!" Like that guy, it just destroys his reputation.
His stepdaughter or something. He ended up.
It was his stepdaughter, so that was weird in and of itself. People knew that was going on, but now with the allegations of the other daughter being abused, it's just.
Oh really? I didn't know that.
It feels like the whole garden has just been tarnished, and we just need somebody to Plus, we need the jingle back. It's like "Go New York, Go New York, Go" has been going on for what 25 years.
Yeah, I mean, they had their 1 year.
Come up with something original. I mean.
They had their 1 year with Melo where they had a little playoff run and that was fun and that was all, but that was pretty much it. A couple of years in the playoffs with him and that was it, And
I couldn't stand him. He was such a hog.
I like Melo in the beginning of his run, but then towards the end, I kind of turned on him. I'm just like, I can't. He was like, I'm all about New York, and you weren't.
He's all about running. Melo.
Yeah, you were all about himself. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to slander the guy, but it kind of became that point where I was just like, I can't stand this guy anymore. Can we get him out of here? Yeah. And thankfully they did, and they ended up getting Mitchell Robinson.
That was my opinion. So. It's my opinion that he just wanted to score. That's all he wanted to do.
Right.
Whereas now you see people scoring, but they're like stepping up and scoring for the team.
Right. It's more of a likable team than they've had in a long time. It's, Mike likes to call it the 2019 Nets, the culture Nets. He likes to say that this is what the Knicks are, but screw you, Mike. This is
not a bad thing.
No, it's a great
not a
team.
Bad thing.
No, and by the way, some of them, if you think about Charles Oakley, he never was shooting threes the way Randall's shooting threes. I mean, a lot of these players are more versatile. So if you have more versatility, but you combine that with that dedication to teamwork, it's like the perfect combination.
What are your thoughts on Obi Toppin? He's been a little scary looking. He's like a deer in the headlights kind of look out there. He doesn't get a lot of time to play because Randall's been so dominant. What are your thoughts on him?
I mean, I feel like just the players need to take him under their wing and just maybe he's getting a little too much inside his head where he's feeling, because he's so young, where he's feeling like he's got to come out strong and he's maybe not like giving himself enough time. And I just think it's a confidence thing. I think there's a huge mental aspect to the game.
I agree.
But I think he'll do better over time. Yeah.
I think his age is
and
in
if
his
not,
head also.
get rid of him. We got to get rid of him then if he's not. In New York, you only get a certain time span. We're tough here in New York. It's you perform or you go.
Yeah. That's why I like my Jersey team. I was like, I can hide here. I'm weak. Don't have to worry about anything. Can kind of just shuffle in the corner. Now with bright lights in Brooklyn. But what's your favorite Knick memory of all time if you had to pick one?
Oh, come on. Starks fan, what do you think it is?
The dunk?
It's got to be the dunk.
Is 3 for 18 in Houston?
Oh,
I have an agonizing memory. I have a very agonizing memory where my arch nemesis, Reggie Miller, did the 8 points in 3, what was it? 8 points in 8 seconds or 8 points in 3, 12 seconds, something like that. I went to the bathroom because I was like, oh, this game's over. So I went to the bathroom and then I came out and I saw the scoreboard and I had missed the entire thing because I was in the bathroom. And I was like I couldn't believe it.
We lost. There's a story about Donnie Walsh. Remember Donnie Walsh?
Horrifying.
Remember Donnie Walsh used to run the Knicks? He used to run the Pacers, and he said that I saw it in a documentary. He thought they lost, and he threw his whatever down, a cup down or whatever, walked out, and then somebody came to him later like, "Yeah, we won." He's like, "Are you kidding?" He didn't even see it either. So.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was just more. I don't know who was more traumatized, me or Spike Lee during that incident, but
they blamed it on Spike Lee. That was like pathetic. the press blamed it on Spike Lee after that loss. He's on the front page of the paper. Or something, I don't know.
Well, he's right there. He was like screaming at him 2 feet from him. I'm surprised because nowadays they wouldn't let him do that.
No. I'm surprised you didn't say the 4-point play. Where were your seats, by the way, in the garden? Where is it if I'm allowed to ask? I don't know.
You're allowed. So it was like 7th row.
Oh, you were.
But
you were
we
on
weren't
TV,
in the center. We weren't in the center. We were like off to one of the sides, all the way to the side. But I was right by the tunnel where all the celebrities would come in and out, and the Knicks City dancers come in and out. Yeah, in the corner.
Oh, wow.
So, and then we had like 4 seats, but it just became so expensive. We sold off half of them. And then over the years, we don't want to let go of the other 2. So we still have them, but we were just like trying to find people to buy them because the Knicks sucked for 20 years. So we were just like selling them every year.
Yeah, well, let me
know.
But
it was hard to find people to buy them. No one wanted them 7th row. They were like,
that's
like,
right. No thanks. Yeah.
No thanks.
They'll only go to the games that like Kobe was coming to town or something like that. That was the only games that you probably could sell, so.
Exactly. So they're my dad's tickets. They're not mine, but maybe one day.
Sense.
One day.
That makes sense. You were blessed to have that close of seats. That's crazy.
Oh yeah. I'm so appreciative. I mean, that was my childhood. Like everybody has something that's really special to them. And that was just like, my childhood revolved around the Knicks.
See, we lived the same childhood. It was just a different team because I had the Nets season tickets. We would go to all the games. I was obsessed with it. It's all like, like it was such a major part of my life. So I think, Amy, even though we had different teams that we rooted for and very different franchises, at the same time connecting, because I understand, that love, that passion, going with your dad, being in the game, seeing the players. Like I can think of the tunnels players coming out of the tunnel, and here's Cliff Robinson coming out with his headband. And I'm like, Dad, I got to get Cliff Robinson's headband. So I totally understand that. And
I love Jason Williams, by the way. I really did when I was a kid. I loved Jason Williams.
Yeah. And that was such
I thought he was and I thought he was such a great guy. He just had that persona of like, what a good guy. And then, people have problems. As you get older, you realize, okay, these are people with problems. Things happen.
Yeah, and then Alex brought it up, a little bit earlier, but Deshaun Watson, with your legal mind.
Speaking of people with problems.
Yeah,
right?
no, yeah.
Jeez. Good segue.
Mine sucked before. His segue's better.
Big picture on everything that's come out today, and your thoughts on just what this is and the mess that it's really become.
I think it's going to become much messier because apparently they have all this evidence that hasn't been made public. So they're sort of leaking it piecemeal. And now today, the latest is that the attorney for some of these plaintiffs is saying that he was making these women sign non-disclosure agreements. I don't know if that's happened or not, but that's what he's saying. Wow. And that casts a new light on it as to, first of all, the first thing you think is, why is this guy have so many masseuses? Right. And then, I mean, he's got 24 people accusing him. And then they're saying they have some more masseuses that are going to come to his defense. Like, how many masseuses does one man need? And then sounds like a dream, though, for a lot of guys. Right. Yeah. And then the other lawyer comes out and says, Deshaun Watson's lawyer comes out and says that his business manager was approached by one of these women and she asked for like $30,000 to keep silent indefinitely, but at the same time, she admitted that it was consensual. So now you have Deshaun Watson's camp saying, we're going to claim consent with at least one of these women. So first I'm thinking, why does he have so many masseuses? Then I'm thinking, why did a massage turn sexual? And then even if it was consensual, and then, it just keeps snowballing. And now there's non-disclosure agreements. So first he's got 24 masseuses potentially or more. Then he's having sex with at least one of them. And then they're claiming he wants him to sign a non-disclosure agreement. I mean, the whole thing then is just becoming more bizarre as the days go on, because
it's hard to keep track.
First he was saying nothing happened. And now he's saying, well, we had, maybe I had sex with one, but she wanted it. And then I made her sign a non-disclosure agreement.
Wow.
I don't know if any of this is true, but these are the things that are coming out on a daily basis. So it just keeps getting worse and worse for him, I think.
There's also a rumor that the lawyer is close personal friends with the owner or something like that. And
I don't think there's anything to that one.
No, nothing to that. Okay.
No, because apparently they're neighbors in a really wealthy area, but there was this post on Instagram that made people believe that they were friends. And it was a post that said, Cal's my neighbor, and look at this billboard that I rented to ask him to draft like Johnny Manziel or something. And then you think to yourself, well, if he's your neighbor, why do you need to spend whatever $10,000 on a billboard to get? He must be ignoring the crap out of you,
Right.
So I don't think that the Texans would want to put themselves in that position where they're now having to pay this guy $20 million or whatever a year,
and they can't trade him now.
Stuck with him. Yeah. Why would they want that?
Yeah, why would they slander their own guy? But it didn't. Maybe he was that vindictive. That was the Watson defense, I would think, right? So I don't know.
Anything's possible.
I don't know much
Anything's possible. I don't know. I know as much as the reports that come out. Anything's possible. And they change by the day. That's what happens with these media circus, high profile athlete stories. Just the most bizarre things. I mean, right, Mike? Because when you were with me when we worked together at the station, and I don't know if you remember like Zeke Elliott, and then even recently DeAndre Baker.
Yeah.
And then with the attorneys, these take like bizarre twists, don't they?
No, they really do take bizarre twists. And then of course it's in the, it's all for the public to digest. So it's not just happening behind the scenes and you wonder who's saying different things to different people. And it's really all over the place. And it's depressing on a lot of fronts. One, for the women, and if this happened to them is awful. But then also on the side of if some of this is not true and you don't know, and then as a public, from like my perspective, you want to believe everybody because you think this is just so heinous, but you don't want to know what's the truth. Lawyers get involved and people are lying, not lying. It's really, the whole thing is it just becomes sad and revolting.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. And then, I mean, like with the DeAndre Baker case was like, I still don't even know what happened there. I feel like it was like a tornado that left me with no answers.
Yeah.
It just came, paid, right? It resolved. It came, it resolved. And then some people were doing things they shouldn't have. The lawyers maybe were doing things. Maybe someone was bribed. Maybe someone wasn't. We never really found out. So
yeah, well, it's a different level of stardom between DeAndre Baker and Deshaun Watson. You know what I mean? That's why this is going to be crazy.
Right. Right. No, of course. I mean, Deshaun Watson is huge. He's one of the top players. So that's another reason though, to maybe feel, is he being set up because he's such a huge athlete and
he has the money. Yeah.
He has the money. Timing. But how could this many women be coming forward? The sheer number of women, and did he do it to all of them?
One or two,
or
you're like, one or two, you're like, nah, maybe he's getting set up. And then there's this many, you're just kind of like, I don't know.
It's starting to become a little more believable.
Like Bill Cosby at first, it was like one or two, and then it became like 50. And you're just like, okay, I guess he did.
Right. And it's like America's dad.
I'm not saying Watson did it though, but I don't know.
We don't know. We don't know. I don't know.
And then are all these women using the same lawyer? Is that correct?
They're all using the same lawyer. That's weird.
But that many people too, right?
Yeah, it's weird.
They're doing guaranteed payments too, right? I heard that too. Is that a rumor or is that true? Like where if you come forward, you're guaranteed to get paid. Like the lawyer's going to come out of pocket and pay you if you.
Oh, I didn't hear that. No.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm breaking news to you. Look at that. See, I should be the legal analyst.
Payment.
Something like maybe I heard it in passing. It might have been BS. I'm not sure, but it was just kind of like where if you accuse him, then you'll get paid. Regardless, if you win the, I don't know, maybe by a lawyer, maybe I don't know who, but like just that
they can't. The lawyer can't pay a client to come forward. That lawyer would lose their license.
Yeah, so something like maybe that was just a BS rumor. Then I don't know, but I heard on the radio. I think I don't remember who said it.
Wow.
But, all right. Well, let's end things on a positive here.
Okay.
Let's go. First of all, I know you've got the Dolan J. Trump. You've purchased one of his.
Oh yeah. I should have brought that.
So
here.
I want to give it's like my shout out to Dolan and the brand that he's established. That's one thing. Where do you think this Knicks team goes this year? What's your official prediction for the 2021 New York Knicks?
Well, so the first I want to say with Dolan, he had this hat. Evan Roberts had the hat, Make Knicks Great Again.
Yeah.
And I really love that hat. I said, where can I get that hat? So he said, Dolan. Okay. So I reached out to Dolan. So Dolan hits me up with all these legal questions about, trademark, copyright infringement. Can I help him? Can I hook him up with? So I hook him up with an attorney. I said, you better be careful. Yeah, I said, be careful, Dolan, because you don't want to do this, don't want to do that. He was very receptive to it. He really appreciated it. I'm just a regular guy, behind all the Dolan, and I have a family, and so he does it. And then I say, Dolan, now that I gave you all this legal advice, hooked you up with a legal attorney, whatever.
I get a free hat.
I'm like, can I get that? Can I get that hat that Make Knicks Great Again? Hat, $30. I'm like, Dolan, come on, Dolan, like, charge me $30. I'm like,
You know how much this legal advice is worth?
Right. I just gave you an attorney. I'm helping you not get sued. And he was very appreciative and very nice, but he made me pay for the hat.
Oh, come on, John.
But I had to get it. I'm giving it to my dad. I can't wear that hat. I'll give it to my dad. He's too big of a fan. There was only one left. He goes, this is the last one. So
yeah. You had to say that just so he can charge you. Yeah.
$30 is the last one. And, and it's limited edition because I don't make these hats twice. And then he showed me the next one. He's like, I'm going on to my next one. And it said like weed the garden or something.
The mask. Catchphrase. He's got the mask.
So this was the last make Knicks great again. And then I bought it, and all of a sudden the Knicks are going to be great again. So it's kind of like, I don't need that hat really anymore. Is it returnable? I don't know.
That's an amazing story.
That's so good. Knowing him personally, it just makes that even better.
He's looking at my DMs all the time, and I can just hear his voice as you're saying that story. Like I could hear it in my head. That was
very nice, though.
Very nice. I mean, he's a good man.
He could have given me a discount on that. Maybe he did give me 5% off. I can't remember, but
he does it to everybody. It was you just put this promo code in. He gives out the promo code. Hey, put this in. You'll get a couple bucks.
Right. I was really excited to get it though.
Very cool. So, Amy, thank you so much for hopping on Bad Weather Fans. Follow Amy on Twitter at Amy-TV. And Amy, thank you so much. And maybe we'll see the Nets and the Knicks in the playoffs if that happens.
I hope so. I think they're going to make the playoffs. That's my prediction. I'm going to be really optimistic here.
I think top 6. You think they get out of the 7 seed playoffs, whatever crap?
I don't know. I got to see what happens when Derrick Rose is back in action.
The trade deadline tomorrow.
If Randall can keep up, sometimes they compensate when the other ones are out. They need to all keep up that same level of play.
Yeah, and RJ Barrett is the man. He's getting
Barrett, Randall, and then Rose. But if they're all playing at that high level, then you're going to see something really good, I think.
All right, it's just too much of the Knicks love now. Now I'm getting there. You got to end it now. Too much of this.
All right, thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you. Have a great night. All right, thank you, Amy, for coming on Bad Weather Fans. Appreciated it. We'll have to do it again when the Knicks are in the playoffs. Maybe they'll be playing the Nets.
I like how definitive you're saying that. I like how when the Knicks are in the playoffs.
How are they not making the playoffs? Have you looked at the standings? Or at least in one of those play-in games? I'm not guaranteeing you a spot.
Some type of playoff
they'll be there.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
If they're not, that's a disaster.
That West Coast strip. This is me watching it blow the game. I'll be rooting for the Knicks for you. I might be rooting for the Knicks for you.
Thank you. It sucks that because we're becoming friends and I want to root for the Nets for you, but I can't do it like that. I don't troll you because you're not that kind of a Nets fan. The one who mocks the Knicks because they couldn't sign Blake Griffin. Meanwhile, he's played like 4 minutes with the Nets.
Blake looked. See, this is. I'll call you out on your bullshit. Blake was great versus Portland. They got him in the post.
Mm-hmm.
He went in the fast.
How many games has he played? One game, and
he's played 2.
2 and how many games? And he's already out again.
Well, there's no need to play him on back to back.
Okay,
come on.
That's like games are subjective. Yeah, we don't need to show up for all these games. Just come in the playoffs, man. Screw these games.
No, you got to ramp him up. We'll see what happens when we sign JJ Redick. That's the latest. Have you seen that?
Yeah, after the buyout, right? That's we'll see. I mean, I don't know why they need him. They need a big man, right? More. I mean, who knows?
I mean, I guess it just can't hurt to have as many guys as possible.
Mm-hmm. I'm hoping the Knicks can get JJ Redick. We don't know. We don't want to get too deep into trade deadline because this can be irrelevant by the time that we end the show. But there was some rumors with Lonzo Ball and maybe the Knicks taking on Bledsoe with Lonzo, and then you dream about getting Redick also and giving up some. You know what I mean? Who the hell knows? The Pelicans added too much salary at one point.
I do think it's going to be a fun deadline. It feels like it's going to be right, more than usual. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yes, I would agree. I think it's going to be fun. I don't know if the Knicks are going to do anything or if the Nets are going to do anything besides getting guys on a buyouts, but I think something's going to go down. Oladipo was pulled from a game. Kyle Lowry's pulled from a game. Lonzo Ball was pulled from a game yesterday. He all of a sudden had a hip flexor or something. Like, come on, dude. Like,
I get worried.
He's shut down.
I get worried. Like, what happens if somebody pulls me from this podcast? Or like Mike,
yeah,
you're going to a.
And Dolan J. Trump will just come on and do the rest of the show with me.
Dolan comes on. Let me tell you guys. No. That guy makes me laugh.
Yeah, he's the best.
All right, let's get your poll question out, and then we'll do the jersey number. And we'll.
You want to do the jersey first or the poll question first?
Whatever. Whatever we normally.
Let's do the jersey first. We usually end with the poll, so let's do that. So okay, so we're on episode number 54, right? So number 54. So in honor of Amy coming on the show, we have we'll do a 90s Nick number 54 from 93 to 95. You probably hated his guts.
I didn't hate
Nick fans.
I didn't hate his guts. I mean, if you knew how to make a layup, things would be different for your franchise. Who's next?
Yeah, if you're a Knicks fan and you don't know who we're referring to, then just come on.
Did you not like him? Together. I mean, that sequence, I feel bad for him.
Yeah, I mean,
he had a good little stint. And it's a shame. I'm tongue in cheek about that because I'm just giving you a hard time, and you would know better than I would.
He didn't lose all the rest of the games. You know what I mean? Could have won another game.
He's a good player.
Well, that's why everybody always goes, obviously Charles Smith. That's why everybody goes, oh, the Charles Smith play is that the biggest heartache in your life as a Knicks fan? I'm like, no. Like, honestly, it was the Ewing missed finger roll. Like, that is what crushed me. That was like, I took the soul out of my body because it was over at that moment. Like, that was it. I'm like, are you kidding?
It's so funny you say that. It's so funny you say that because I do Uber Eats, right? And I'm in the car and I'll daydream. And I keep daydreaming about these moments that are going to happen with the Nets. And I'll do good ones and then I'll do bad ones. And then I'll be thinking to myself, how, like, I had this thought of like, what if they're in the finals and Kawhi hits a 3 that he's similar that he hit against Embiid in the Sixers? How am I going to get on this podcast and do that? Oh, how am I going to talk after that? It's going to be impossible.
Unless Julius Randle hits that kind of 3 that he hit the other day to put them in overtime, like, and the Knicks beat the Nets in the playoffs, then you're gonna not want to come on. But if it's just Nets versus somebody, I might be laughing, but like I won't rub it in on you. But I will be happy because it'll be funny if that happens. I gotta be honest.
It will be. I hear you.
Anyway,
I get it.
So Nets number 54. Let's see.
Nets number 54.
Oh, I have a good one. So so he went to Wake Forest. He played on the Nets from 2003 to 2004. He was in the league for a long time. He was drafted in the 1993 first round.
I know who it is. I know who it is.
I think he's a lefty.
Yeah, he was a lefty. I know who it is. And I can tell you he was on the Phoenix Suns team. You ready for this? Watch this. Okay, here we go. He was on the Suns, and the Celtics had a guard named Joe Johnson. And the Celtics dealt Joe Johnson to Phoenix because the Celtics wanted to get another veteran forward to add to their mix. So they got Rodney Rogers back in the deal. Then the next year, the Nets traded Keith Van Horn, and they got, who else was in that deal? They traded Van Horn, and they got Mutombo to come back to Philly. RJ went to the starting lineup. The Nets signed Rodney Rogers, and he became the backup forward.
There you go. So the answer is Rodney Rogers. That's the answer.
You like that Joe Johnson trade? Tony Delk was in that deal also. What a nice career.
Was he? Tony Delk he's a good shooter. But no, that's crazy. You always forget that Joe Johnson was like a Celtic for like 5 seconds. That's
right.
Crazy.
And then before he became, I don't know, not a Hall of Fame player, but a very good all-star.
I mean, he was great with the Suns. I can't believe the Suns got rid of him. And then with the Hawks, he was the man. You know what I mean? With the Woodson years.
He was good for the Nets. He was very good for the Nets until the very end. He had a good stint. I mean, he was a good player.
Yeah. Now he's in the Big 3 tournament.
He's still right. And now he's the best player on the Pistons,
Exactly. Oh, man. No. So that's another thing. That's another debate we're going to have. Most improved player. Is it Julius Randle or is it Jeremy Grant? Is Jeremy? I
think Jeremy. I would go with Randle because the Knicks are good. I think that matters.
Yeah.
He was an all-star.
Just like, I mean, but he's been incredible. Like out of nowhere, like the stat jump that he had.
He was good with Denver last year.
Yeah, but he wasn't like
true. He's on a yes. But I think there's a difference. I can't believe I'm defending Randle and you're defending Grant. What is this? I think there's something about playing well like that and your team's getting wins. I think shows more than you're just putting up numbers on a losing team. I think
right. But like
the Knicks do have more talent around them than Detroit does by far. But I think that matters.
These are his points per games in his career. This is inside Jeremy Grant. How do you pronounce it? Jeremy?
I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong thing now. You're in my head.
Jerry and Grant's brother. How about that? Okay, so his point per game averages 6, 9, 5, 8, 5, 8, 13, 12, and now 23. Like that is just like an incredible jump.
Yeah, but that team has no scoring. That's like the worst shooting team in the league.
Yeah.
So he's put in a position where if he was on the Nets, he'd average 5 points a game.
Probably. Right. With the Nuggets last year, he was only 12. So
right. So that's probably okay. The Nuggets are a perfect example because Denver's a great team.
And they're deep. Yeah.
They're deep. They're not quite. I mean, we'll see what happens, but they didn't quite make it to the championship, but they still had a very good, successful season. So he was an established role player there, averaging 12 points a game. He goes to a crap team. He averages 23. Randle is in the same organization with a few tweaks around him and has elevated his game. To me, it's Randle and it's not close. And this is another guy we're missing. But between those two, I have to go with Julius by far.
I don't think there's anybody close other than that. I mean, who else can you think that made a big jump this year? I don't even know. I can't even think off the top of my head.
James Harden.
James Harden. Yeah, Kevin Durant. He actually played a couple games this year. You know,
he was
that's
great
a big jump.
Yeah,
he averaged 0 points last year. Now he's averaging. You know, so that's pretty good.
30.
Yeah. So as the cops come for me, as you hear the siren in the background.
Get rid of them. Any other numbers?
I already exited off. Let me go back. Hold on. This is
Rodney Rogers, blast from the past.
Yeah, Rodney Rogers is a good one. So let's see. The net numbers 54 are drum roll. So we have 1978 Howard Porter, Bob Elliott, Jack Haley, Dan O'Sullivan.
Jack Haley. He was an assistant in the NBA for a while after, and he was in a movie. Was he in Eddie?
Jack Haley.
Jack Haley's in a movie. Look this up. You got to do this for me.
Okay.
Look this up because Dolan right now is listening, going.
It's like, what are you talking about?
He was in. Oh yeah, he was in there. He was in Sister Act 2. How do you not know that?
Sister Act 2.
He was in Sister Act 2. Baseglia Mora
with Lauryn Hill. He was in. Was she in the first one? Maybe.
I don't remember.
Let's see. Jack Haley movie. Eddie. I don't know if this is him. Oh no, 1938. No, it's a different Jack Haley. I don't know. We'll have to. You guys Google it and tweet us. I'm at Nick Central. He's at Mike Delivers Pod, and let us know what Jack Haley was.
He earned a small role in Eddie.
Yeah, I don't even know who this guy is. Hold on, let's see. That's one of my favorite movies ever. This is the second Eddie reference on this podcast, by the way. That's crazy.
How about that?
His nickname is Dude, as per Basketball Reference, by the way.
He died back in 2015.
He did. A lot of people died from that movie. Wow. So that's, the guy who played Yvonne, what's his name? He was in that also. Dwayne Stinches. He passed away.
Yeah.
Malik Sealy passed away of a car crash, tragically, too.
Jeez.
So hopefully you're not an Eddie, man.
That's kind of freaky.
Yeah, dude. That's like three Knick players, right? In the movie.
That's creepy.
Yeah, no, you're like creeped out now.
Yeah, I don't like stuff like this.
Okay, so anyway, the other number 54s for the Knicks were, let's see, Howard Porter, who nobody knows, 1975, Greg Butler, 89-90, Charles Smith, the immortal Brad Lowhouse, the Bucks great, 1996, Nalen in 2003, and Solomon Jones in 2013. So a bunch of scrubs. And that's all. Okay, so let's go into the poll.
I love this game, by the way. I have to say,
one day you got to do it, so I can try to act like, because I'm like Alex Trebek, rest in peace. And I know the person passed away. I'm like Alex Trebek, where I'm asking the question, so I seem like I'm smart, and you're the one who's like, oh, I don't know, who is it? I don't know. So
well, I told you the game that I did want to create, and you'd be the host again.
Yes.
To do me, Evan Roberts, who's on the podcast, and then Dolan J. Trump, because Dolan was a giant New Jersey Nets fan. Mm-hmm. He knows more Nets history, I think, than anybody I've ever met. We have to set that up.
Yeah,
hopefully you can ask the right questions.
I'll ask the right questions
a little bit.
I'll make them so obscure that you guys how do you guys not know who the backup point guard was in 1932? No,
it'll be all about like Knick victories versus the Nets.
Oh damn, how'd you guess that? I was gonna try to find so many questions that were all Knick related. The answer is who beat the Nets in this game on this year. Also wasn't it lost the Nets anyway. To the Knicks, excuse me. So okay, here's the poll question. Ready for the week? Drum roll. So Knicks fans, what is your take on Obi Toppin so far? Not sure yet, but nervous. He'll be fine. Patience. He's a bust. Or thank God for quickly.
That's my answer.
Yeah,
that's how I would feel. Thank God for quickly. That would be my natural instinct. I'm not saying that's the right answer. I don't think he's a bust. That's too soon.
Yeah,
way too soon. But I would say thank God for quickly, because if quickly wasn't playing this well, this would be a very disappointing draft for the Knicks. So
right, he kind of shields Obi from being this huge story. You know what I mean? Knick fans are worried, and we're watching him every day. We're like, what's going on? This is scary. But at the same time, quickly so good that you're just like, all right, well, take your time, kid. Just, get it together. What I mean? There's less pressure on him. But the winner was he'll be fine, be patient. So
what does that mean? He'll be fine, I guess.
Yeah, he'll be fine over time. Who knows if he'll be a star? That's how I'm taking the answer. He'll be fine. Let's be patient. 35.7% agreed. 29% said not sure yet, but nervous. Thank God for quickly, 20.3%. And he's a bust, 15%. So a lot of people are we had almost 700 votes on this. So a lot of people are fed up with with him already. I mean, he's looked bad, dude. Like it's getting to the point like he looks like he can't play. And it sucks because I know he can, and he just looks like we've talked about this before. He just looks so nervous out there, and he can't get in a rhythm. And Randall's just dominating, and you can't get him in the game. And when you do, it's just like he came in the game against the Wizards in crunch time, and then the Wizards started creeping back, so they had to put Randall back in the game. You thought Obi had the whole fourth quarter to just, let's go. You know what I mean? Get your feet wet, and they had to put Randall back in. He looked all pissed. Like, come on, dude. Like, we're just up 30. Like, what happened? So
yeah, that's a strange one. I remember how excited you were when they drafted him. I mean, you were pumped.
Yeah, because I expected him to go in the top 5, and he dropped down to what is it, 8?
But we talked about this draft too. It was such a
crap.
And I'll just bring this up. How bad does it suck that LaMelo Ball's hurt?
Oh,
he was the clear winner of Rookie of the Year. The way he was going, I mean, he was the best. He's the best rookie in the class. So it sucks because Charlotte's a fun team, and to see his season derailed like that, just the worst. Injuries suck. Injuries are the worst. They're just
that's very sad. No, it is, and now it'll probably be Anthony Edwards, and he's getting the volume scoring because the Timberwolves sucks.
Yeah.
I think he's averaging around 17.
Changed the Hornets.
They made them fun. He made them relevant. Rozier has been playing great too, but Melo is LaMelo. I'm sorry, the real Melo is Carmelo. I'm sorry. Don't let me No, LaMelo has been playing great, and I don't know. I mean, who knows what the Rookie of the Year is now? It's probably Edwards and Quickly and Halliburton probably in the talks for it. Wiseman's been hurt; he can't get in consideration, but we'll see. Who cares about that right now? So anyway, a couple fan shout outs, responses to the poll question. So we have William Simmons. He's at Brooklyn Kid with 2 Ds, 5. So that's he might be a Jason Kidd fan, right? Brooklyn Kid, KIDD 5. That's got to be a Jason Kidd fan. So why did Nets fans sneak it on this Knicks poll question? It's kind of weird. He goes, wrong player for the Knicks team. You all knew they needed a point guard. Obi is 23, can't really develop. They should have sent him to the G League. Your love fest with IQ is way overboard. He's a me player and not a team player. Plus, that ice in the veins thing is used too much. So this guy is definitely a Nets fan. That's a big time Knicks hater, and it's probably Mike's burner account.
I've told you that's not my burner.
No, you love Quickly. I think you really like him.
I've been impressed by what I've seen.
Not love.
Him. I love my cat.
Yes, not Manuel Quickly. You should name your next cat though, Quickly. And I think that's a cool
I'm not getting another cat. This is it.
That's it. That's your one cat.
This is it. It's him. I don't want to go here. Continue.
Yeah. Okay. That's sad. Okay. So anyway, next one we have at Torned, TOORNED. So he's RMVT is his name on here. He goes, I just don't see it. Looks like Warwick to me at best. So maybe he means Hakeem Warwick, I'm thinking.
That's
an obscure reference, but
that is an obscure. Hakeem Warwick's one of my favorite players of all time because he was
Syracuse,
a sophomore when the Syracuse team won the national championship.
He was the man in college. He was the man.
Oh, he was great. He was. I mean, he could fly. He could fly. He had some beautiful dunks. Yeah, and he played a little bit in the league with the Grizzlies.
Yeah, I'm guessing he means Hakeem Warwick. He just said Warwick.
He
could be talking about Warwick Dunn. I don't know. He could be talking about Florida State running back. I don't know what he's talking about.
That's a weird Hakeem Warwick. Where did that come from?
No, it was it's a good reference though. I mean, if he's just a guy who can jump out of the gym and doesn't really do much, then
it's some post moves.
Yeah, I guess in college, right? But so we have Nick's back baby. He goes, he's at Life's a breeze. Excuse me. He goes, this Quickly love fest gotta stop. He's just as annoying to watch, but for different reasons. What's with all this Quickly hate? Jesus, like I thought we were gonna have like some
people know how to troll you well.
Right. Like, come on, guys. Let's go. Quickly's a man. So then we have my boy Coonies. He's at KUNAL, and it looks like 2 or 3 underscores. I can't tell. It's just a long line. Goes, not saying he won't turn out fine eventually. I just want to know how the scouting consensus was, quote unquote, the most NBA ready, which is true because he doesn't look like he's NBA ready, there's a reason people get fired from their jobs. They make mistakes. Right. You only hear the stories about the people that told someone to draft Emmanuel Quickly. You don't hear the stories about people who told Leon Rose to draft Obi Toppin. So let's just keep it. He's definitely the team's playing very well. Quickly's been good. And that story's been buried because if the Knicks were struggling, that would be all you'd hear about. Yeah, Knicks missing another draft pick, another top 10 pick, Ntilikina, Knox, and it'd just be the same old regurgitated garbage. Yeah. So thank God they're winning. But okay, so we have 2 more. We have Jamal Dean. He's once a Knick fan. So it's my guy. He goes, he'll be fine. When Rose comes back, we'll see a big difference. So I don't know. We'll see, because
okay.
He's saying, we knew Obi needed a point guard to be successful. I said this on draft day. I was like, well, he's the kind of guy that needs a point guard, to really be successful. And that's why I was kind of mad they didn't get one besides Alfred Payton this offseason. But so we can't. And it's like people have these perceptions on draft day. Like, let's say Obi Toppin needs a point guard. He doesn't have a point guard and he's not playing well. And people are like, oh, he stinks. Well, we knew he needed a point guard. Frank Ntilikina, he's drafted. Like, oh, they said he's got to be 4 years before we see if he can play. And within his 4 games, they're like, he sucks. Well, now it's 4 years, and all right, he might not be, a really like a all-star level player, but you needed to give it time. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's just
I think the problem is, though, at some point you got to stop making excuses. Either you can
right.
Like, okay, you need a point guard, true, but how many teams have elite level point guards?
Right.
At some point, it's like, can you do it or you can't do it? You
can't be airball and wide open threes like he was doing the other day. Like,
right. There comes a point where it's, can you play or can you not play? Yeah. Sure. Like I'll bring up Nicholas Claxton. Is he a beneficiary? Is he getting? It's a beneficiary. Is that the right word? Of James Harden's
benefiting from his play?
Yes, that's the word. He's benefiting from James Harden, and he's definitely better than. I'm not going to talk about his defense. Is a different story. That's what I've been most impressed about. But my point is, how many dunks has he gotten from James Harden? I'm sure if Obi Toppin had James Harden on the team, those kind of dunks, maybe his confidence would be different.
Right.
So that helps. But at the same time, how many James Hardens are there? And you have to go out and prove it and be great. You have to, not going to be great, but you have to, like you said, not airball shots, just so that you're competent and you can play. I'm not saying there's got to be a guy there that takes your level to another space.
Yeah, man. Those easy dunks definitely does a lot for your confidence. But at the same time, I don't know. It's hard. I'm repeating what you're going to say anyway. So let's go to the next one. So we have D $. It's my guy also. I have a lot of people who are my guys on Twitter.
I see.
At Darren Rosengar 1. He goes, you can't judge a first-year player if he's struggling to that extent. Give him another year. Not everybody can be LeBron or some guy named Kevin Durant. So this is true. Not everybody can just come out of the gates and just crush it. Like that's what happened with RJ Barrett last year, but RJ Barrett was 19. It's a little different, than 23, which is kind of scary, but you still have to give Obi a year just to learn the NBA, but like I said, stop airballing open threes and I'll give a little more confidence, so that's all the questions I have. That's all. Oh, and one more, let me give a shout out to our guy. He's one of our biggest fans. Like he's one of our A1 from day ones, Luis Miguel. He was DMing me. He's like, he's like, sorry, I haven't been around. I wanted to listen to the show, but I just got married. So congrats to him, Luis Miguel, for his marriage. Yeah, that's, lucky guy. He's able to get his wedding in. Mine was just postponed to December. Lucky me. Push it back a little more. We'll see what happens. So, but congrats to Luis.
I like all these fans that reach out to you. I've done a better job now. I'm reaching out to them and being like, hey, there's more to this show than just your Nick buddy here. Don't forget about me. And they're responding. It's fun.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about more sports as we go along. I know it's Knicks Nets at the core of the podcast, but we're going to get into more Mets. We're going to get into more Jets. We're going to get into more things, the NFL draft or whatever. But it's mostly Knicks Nets. But keep listening. We'll have some stuff because not everybody's interested in the Nets, Mike. I don't know if you noticed that. So
yeah, but they're interested in me.
Yes, that's true. You are part of the big two of this podcast.
I'm just joking. I know. I don't care. My ego out of control. Episode 54, Bad Weather fans. Thank you, Amy Dash, for coming on the podcast, talking about your love of the Knicks. That was a lot of fun. Appreciate that. Again, guys, go ahead, download this podcast, tell your friends about it, subscribe, 5-star rating, and find it on YouTube. If you're listening right now and you were like, hey, I want to see what Mike's fridge looks like. I want to see Alex's beautiful view. Go to YouTube, check it out. Bad Weather fans. I did check the net score. They're getting their ass kicked. I knew this was coming. So,
is there a point of watching it now? Then is there even a reason? Just, you can put it on now. You don't have to watch it from the beginning, though. I know you're
down 38-63 at the half.
All right, so just watch the second half.
I'm going to put it on the background as I edit.
There you go. You can do that. That's good. I allow it. I just, whenever I'm like watching a game or pause it and I find out the score, I'm like, I can't go back now and watch when I know what the score is going to be. Like, it happens a lot with football. Like, I'll be coming home from somewhere, it'll be like 1:30, and I'm like putting the game on, and then somebody texts me like, "Oh shit, did you see that?" I'm like, "Fuck!" And I
put my phone on airplane mode. Like, if this was This game, I knew what was going to happen. And now you say, oh, you're not a real fan. Like last night, if it was the Portland game, I'd be on airplane mode.
Yeah, you had to watch that one. Yeah. I did that once for the last time the Knicks were in the playoffs with the 2013. The Celtics game, I think it was game 5 or what? No, games, whatever game it was when they clinched. And no, not game 5 because whatever it was. Who cares what game it was? The game that they clinched, they went up like I was just started dating my fiance, and it was like the first year we were dating, and her parents bought us tickets to Cirque du Soleil at Citi Field, and it was a Knicks playoff game. I'm like, are you fucking? I have to go. I have to go. So I paused. I DVR'd the game, and I DVR'd the next 4 shows after that to make sure in case it was a super long game, Of course. Then, so I shut my phone off, everything, and I started watching them. They go up 30, and then slowly, I'm like, oh my god, I'm going crazy, myself.
So you watched it 8 hours later or whatever?
Yeah, and I shut my phone off. No idea. And they were up 30, and then the Celtics started coming back, and I'm like, oh my god, is this one of those games? It's like one of those games that they're gonna blow it, and they ended up pulling it out and whatever. But it was just
funny though too, because everybody knows.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure you turn your phone on and your phone blew up.
Oh, a million text messages.
Like, where are you, Alex? What's going on? We're going to the greatest party ever. I'm going to Melo's after.
Cirque du Soleil.
I'm going to Carmelo's after party. You got to come here. I've got all the players and teams going to be there. You got to come out. This is 2 a.m. You're sweating it out.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever. Anyway,
cool.
That was fun. But that's a podcast.
We can get into that topic. I actually have thoughts on all of it. I think it's interesting, the DVRing thing. All right, episode 54, Bad Weather Fans. Alex, all right, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Have a good one, Mike.